Okay guys, the old fella's back. We're getting the channel up and running again. It's not going to be old taxi drift guy anymore, but I have just bought another drift car, so the old fella's going to have another bit of a crack. But my son's also racing a Wingless Sprint Speedway car, so we're going to do a bit of Speedway and a bit of drifting. And yeah, so what's been happening? Well, I've been working in town, but with COVID and everything, driving a cab in Adelaide, it all went to shit, so moved back to Murray Bridge and started working there. And so I'm back living at Tailem Bend, but working there. So I'm home a lot of the time now. I've got more time to play around with cars and stuff. So the whole aim of the channel is to show you a bit of drifting, show you the car I've got. We're going to have a lot of in-car footage with a few GoPros and that. Same with the Speedway car, and hopefully even a microphone in there so you can hear us talking a bit of bullshit and swearing at other drivers and things like that. So it should be a bit of fun. But I'm going to take you today just to show you the drift car I've just bought, and we'll go into the shed and show you the Wingless Sprint. If you're a drifter and you're not too sure what they are, I'll go for a quick run through with one of them. But anyway, we're back. We're going to have a bit of fun. I don't know if I can still do it or not. I'm an old fat bastard, but we're going to get out there and have a crack. So let's go and check out the drift car. So here we have it, a Nissan V35 Skyline. I went through a lot of umming and ahhing when I decided I want to get a car to have a bit of fun, and bang for buck, this was the best I could find after talking to a few people. As you know, if you're into drifting, in the drift scene, the old S14s and S13s and stuff, you can't pick them up for 5 or 6 grand anymore. They're all worth 20 or 30, even more. So doing a bit of homework, it was either going to be a BMW with the 6-cylinder in it, or one of these. These are non-turbo, but you can start getting a lot of good bolt-on gear for these things now. So I talked to a few people that had them. Main guy I talked to was Daniel Hollins up in Adelaide Hills, who runs Crown and Pinion, and him and I think he's got another mate there, like the gurus of these things. And they just seem a solid chassis and plenty of power for a bit of fun, and fairly solid. So I ended up picking this one up for $7,400, and that was with knowing that it didn't have third gear, so I was allowing for that. But after driving it home, no crunching or any funny noises, and talking to a couple of people, there is a slight chance it could just be a gear selector broken. So fingers crossed, that'll be good if it's something like that. But nice little car. I haven't really checked over it much. I haven't had it on the hoist, but lifting the bonnet up, I did notice it's got extractors in it. It's bloody noisy, so I'll get to and lift the bonnet up. Main things I'm going to do to it at the moment is probably just get the diff shimmed. That's what Daniel reckons. That way my son can use it as a track car a bit too, and might be a bit better for cornering on a grip day. It looks like it hasn't been lowered or anything, so I'll get some coilovers on it eventually. But to start off with, just get the diff done. There's a cheap steering lock thing for about $300 or $400 through GK Tech. We'll chuck that on there. Probably another radiator. These are pretty shit radiators. And then I think we'll be ready to go, and probably just take it up to X Park. That's what I'm thinking for the first time, and see if I can get the bloody thing sliding a bit. So it is missing the flash cover which goes over the top, but we don't need that. I have ordered from Amazon a cold air intake. It was an El Cheapo. We'll see what that's like. I'll probably end up taking the air conditioning out, get rid of all that, so it might give it a bit more power. I'm not worried about that. It's still registered at the moment, and we've got it insured, so we can drive it around for a little while. As I said, these I saw a video on these radiators, and they're about as thick as my finger, so we'll get an alloy one in there. and also the plenum spacer which goes in here. They're a bit of a fairly cheap upgrade, I think, for $200 or $300, which lets a bit more air come into it, especially the front cylinders. But it's pretty tidy, it sounds okay. So I'll go and start her up now and show you what it sounds like. So I'll give you a bit of a look inside first. Oh shit, my fat bum getting in here. It's pretty tidy inside, but eventually get rid of these seats and the back seat. I've heard they weigh heaps, so we'll get rid of those, get some decent seats in here, hold my fat bum in, put a half cage in it eventually. But I've heard the rear seats and the main seats here with all their electronic stuff weigh a fair bit. So we'll give her a bit of a start up. There she goes. She's a bit loud when you're out on the road. You've got to be a bit careful, but oops, hang on, how do I turn that off? Oh, I don't even know how to turn the bloody... Get the volume down here. I'll get caught up with YouTube for pinching music. So I don't know what's done. 153,000, nearly 154,000. I suppose that's kilometres. Yeah, it would be. Got these aerial things up here. I don't know what they're for. I think they used to run a TV in these things, but I can't work that out. I think that's all Japanese. I don't know much about these, but I'm guessing they're all imports. But we'll give her a couple of revs here. Actually sounds alright, I think, for a V6, but I'm hopeless at knowing whether things sound good or bad. So we'll get up here, we'll go and check the engine out. Can't hear too many rattles or anything, seems to run okay. Bit of noise on the belts, that's about it. But yeah, pretty happy with it. So like I said, I got this for 7,400, and that was allowing for maybe $2.5 to put a new gearbox in. But with a bit of luck, it won't need one. We might be able to fix it up. But the other ones of these I was looking at around the 13 grand with the manual one. So even for a drift car these days, I think it's pretty, well, not cheap, but it's probably not a bad price. I think they're going to be struggling to find decent cars, rear-wheel drive manuals in the future. So I've got a funny feeling these things might go up in price a fair bit in the next couple of years. But I don't think mine will, because I'll probably wreck it by then. But pretty happy with it. Yeah, I don't know if that sounds good or bad. She's a bit loud out in the open road, but too bad. So I noticed it's got Brembo brakes, and I think I did read that not all of them had those. That's the other thing I'm going to do fairly early, is put a dual caliper handbrake system in. So that's probably one of the first things I'll get done. But the whole idea with the YouTube channel, I'll show you any upgrades I do, what's going on with it, and I'm actually pretty done with it, so probably half the stuff I do I'll probably fuck up, or there'll be something wrong with it. But probably the person that convinced me to get one of these was Daniel Holland. So yeah, just talking to him definitely convinced me to get one of these instead of the BMW. I like the BMWs as well, but there seemed to be a few things with the chassis that needed strengthening and stuff like that, and so anyway, end up with one of these. So it'd just be great fun out skid pan days, things like that. And if I get it going alright, and if I can still drift it okay, I might even go in a couple of the level 2 drift events. But any upgrades I'll do a little video for you. And if you want to check out my main video, which that was one of the things I did while I was away, I spent a year doing up a little houseboat. It's actually a caravan on pontoons, and I went from Meningie all the way up to Wentworth over about 5 months and then back again. So it's a crazy looking little houseboat. The YouTube channel is called Drifting in Gilligan, so that was the name of my houseboat. I've now sold the houseboat, but I keep doing my videos. I enjoy editing and filming, and the Drifting in Gilligan one, after I sold the houseboat, I've now got this van I've done up. So there you go, Drifting in Gilligan. It's not a huge channel, but I think I'm nearly up to 950 subscribers, so pretty happy with that. So I do camping videos now, I do catch and cooks, I do stupid cook-ups, so all a bit of fun. And we do camping along the river, try and find people or show people these little camping spots that not many people know about, usually free ones, so you can shoot up there and get away for the weekend with the family and have a cheap weekend away. So definitely check that out if you're into that sort of thing. Drifting in Gilligan. Most of you guys will be too young to know anything about Gilligan's Island, but an old TV show from back in the 70s, so that's where I got the name from. So anyway, that's a little Nissan Skyline V35. It's got a little bit of hail damage on it, a few spots here, but I'm not bothered about that. A few in here, probably 5 or 6 along the side there, a couple on the roof, but not too bad. A couple little dings, so I don't know what they did with it before. Definitely got extractors on it, so I think they might have built it up as a track car or something. So but we'll see how she goes. So let's go for a bit of a walk now in the shed. We'll check the shed out and show you the Speedway side of this channel. So here we go, into the messy shed. We're still tidying it up, so a bit of a mess in here. But this is it, Wingless Sprint. We've only just got that a couple of months ago, but it's the end of the Speedway season and we're just getting it ready for next season. Nothing really to do except change the numbers. All the panels and that are over here, so it all ends up with panels over the sides covering the engine and everything. So this is the same chassis as a 410 sprint car, so the big boys with the wings and stuff. But this is the cheaper version where they run a Buick Holden V6 motor. We managed to pick one up. A guy that was at the Speedway had a complete car, a VX Holden I think it was, and he told us we could have it for $500, and we ended up buying it off him so we get the motor, and then we ended up selling the rolling chassis. So we ended up getting the engine for practically free. So that still needs a bit of work to get done to it to do it up, but we'll eventually get it done up as a spare motor. But there you go, Wingless Sprint. Very popular class all around Australia now. In South Australia you're probably getting 30 to 40 of them rock up at each meeting. A lot of things to learn on how to set them up for different tracks and stuff. Stagger on the tyres, you've got different size tyres from the right rear and left rear, so you can adjust it for track conditions. You've got spaces here to adjust the wheel in and out on track, depending on track conditions. Move it out, usually makes it a bit looser. Move the right rear in, it'll tighten the car up a bit. These cars are all run with torsion bars, so no springs or anything. These are torsion bars in here which are all adjusted. Same with the front. Winter's quick change diff in the back there. Change for different tracks. You've got one brake on the back and one on the front left. So you only have one on the front left there, so that helps you turn into the corner. You can just give it a bit of a dab on your brake and it helps tip the car into the corner. Run on methanol, so they've got special injectors and a special inlet there to run them on methanol. Everyone has to have the same inlet to keep them all even, the same ECU with the memcal, I think that's what it's called. All have to have the same memcal, so they can't go over 6,000 revs. So it's pretty well controlled. This one's all been sealed from last season, so we'll be leaving it how it is. So you'll see the little seal thing here. So fairly even class. Also a heap of shocks which we've got to hang up and find a home. So with the shocks, they've all been tested and marked. So there's a set for the average track, there's a set for a slick track, and there's a set for grippy tracks. So this one here is the right hand front, and that's for a slick track. So a lot to learn there on how to set them up. What else we got going on in here? So that's about it. Shockers, tyres. Tyres can be a bit expensive, but a lot of the times you can get the second hand ones off the sprint car guys or some of the better guys that race these. But we've got a few people that have come on board already that want to help out with a buy us a tyre every now and again. It's mainly the right rear that you go through, a little bit on the left rear, but mainly the right rear. So while we're here, we were a fairly big Speedway family right from the start. I started in motocross in juniors. That's my YZ250D. That's a 1977 model. Had that since brand new. Had a couple of Elsinore 125s too. I wish I still had those. That's my son's Speedway bike. We both race Speedway. So ended up racing over in England for a couple of years, and my son Ray got signed up by Oxford Speedway team when he was 15 and went over there for probably about 5 or 6 years racing. But she's a hard job, good fun but hard to make money at it unless you may be the top 20 or 30 in the world, and we definitely weren't that. So that's a bit of a run through the old shed. We'll get her all tidied up before the Speedway season starts, and hopefully lots more videos of Speedway, and probably be more drift videos, I would think. So that's it. Catch you guys with the next video. See you later.